All right, 9-1 are quadratic equations. The first definition is a quadratic function. It's a function with a degree of 2. Standard form of a quadratic equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. For example, y equals 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. The parent function is the simplest form of the quadratic. So it's y equals x squared is the parent function. The parabola is the shape of a quadratic graph or a U shape. The axis of symmetry is the line that cuts the parabola in half. And the vertex is the highest or lowest point on the parabola. Okay, guys, right here, this graph right here is the graph of our parent function, y equals x squared. So if you look, if I plug in 0, what is 0 squared? 0. If I plugged in 1, what is 1 squared? 1. If I plugged in 2, what is 2 squared? 4. And then 3, what's 3 squared? 9. Now look at what happens. The square is beautiful. I love a square because what it does to negatives is awesome. I have -1 squared is -1 times -1, which is 1. So when I plug -1 into my square function, I get +1. Following that same rule, I plug -2 and I square it. What is -2 times -2? +4. So it takes negative numbers and makes it positive, kind of like an absolute value, but even better because it squares it. And then -3 times -3, +9. So instead of this guy coming back down and being negative, it comes to and hits 0 and then repeats and has a nice symmetry because that's how we do on squares. All right. Just making sure we know it. Okay. So here's how I remember if we're going to have a minimum or a maximum. If the value of A is, let's go, Gavin, come move that next to the blue star. Hoping there's something there. Actually. No? Okay. So put a plus sign. Yep. Perfect. Thank you. So if the value of A is positive, the parabola faces up. It's like this. If you have a positive personality, you are smiling. So your parabola is also smiling. Okay, Leslie? And then the vertex will be a minimum. And then, Leslie, come on up. If the value of A, so the guy in front of the x squared, that's A. If the value of A is negative, so put a negative sign there. I know you can reach it, but negative. Boom. Yeah. The parabola faces down because when you're a negative personality, you've got a frowny face. And so your parabola is also frowny. And then if you have a frowny face, the top of your frown is your max. So you'll have a max. So let's go ahead and put the standard form here again. We're talking about these guys here, the a that's in front of the x squared. If it's positive, we are smiley, and if it's negative, we are frowning. I didn't have anything else on that picture. All right, now we're getting to it. What are the coordinates of the vertex, and is it a max or is it a min? This is you, Cole. You got to get bingo on your row. Come on up, put a dot where the vertex is, and then put the coordinate and tell me, is that max or is that min? What's its coordinate? Yep, 0, 3 is its coordinate. Is it a max or a min? Max, so right max right underneath that. Muchas gracias, thank you. Right, Layla, this is you. Got this. Put a dot where the vertex is. Put its coordinates. Okay, just the same color. You guys think it's at 2?
Is that one? Okay.
So it's at 1 and down 1.
My goodness.
So, yeah. Okay. And max or a min? Min.
You know what? I tried.
It's a min. So change max.
Are you kidding me? But it's smiling.
So it has a bottom. So when we smile,
I shouldn't even be able to
you got this. You got this.
All right.
Okay. So now you guys try. Go ahead and identify our max or min, what coordinate it is, and put min or max. I'm just going to clarify that this is 1 negative. And Paisley, once you have yours down, come on up and put it on the negative. We'll pause for the studio audience. All right, so you guys, this is -2, -3. It is a minimum. Sure you guys have that. When you're ready to move on, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. All right, so that takes care of how the leading coefficient changes the graph. That's this part right here. We did look at the basic caret function. It's a U-shaped. And now we're going to hit graphing the quadratic with the table. So it says graph the function y equals 2x squared. Make a table of values. So we're going to do a simple t-table. Put x and y. I usually use the graph to tell me what numbers I should put on my t-table. I'm going to go from -6 to +6. That's right. I just went all up in that business. I don't care. Whatever. I'm doing it. If you can economize your space a little bit better than I am, that's fine. All right. So we have y equals 2 times x squared. So we're going to replace the x with these numbers here. -6 times -6 is 36 times 2 is 72. -5 times -5 is 25 times 2. This is why I love quadratics. They get big really fast. -4 times -4 is 16 times 2 is 32. -3 times -3 is 9 times 2 is 18. Some of these we won't be able to graph on. -2 times -2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, times 2 is 2. So right now, I can graph the last two I just wrote down. The other ones are way off my graph. I can't get these. 0 times 0 is 0, times 2 is still 0. 1 times 1 is 1, times 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. And then what do you guys think 3 will be? We follow the pattern? 18, you're right. And then 4 would be 32. And then 5 would be 50. And 6 would be 72. Okay, so of the ones that we wrote down, am I harmed in my life because I wrote down numbers I can't grasp? Nope, not harmed. I'm still the same. It didn't take that much longer. Sometimes you're gonna, because you're exploring the way different functions are graphed, you're gonna calculate things that we're not gonna use on the graph. I'm just giving you permission right now. It is okay if your number ends up too big. All right, so let's plot those points. We're gonna plot negative 2, 8, negative 1, 2, 0, 0, 1, 2, and 2, 8. I'm going to plot these 5 points and see what shape we have here. So negative 2, 8, negative 1, 2, 0, 0, 1, 2, and 2, 8. This is not only a smiley face, but he is smiley and skinny. Smiley and skinny. Okay, you guys ready to work smarter, not harder? Okay, so we're going to work smarter, not harder. For this now you try problem, you have a 1/3. Multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. I want numbers that are divisible by 3. So I'm going to pick my x's so that happens for you guys. So let's think of some numbers that are divisible by 3. How about negative 9, negative 6, negative 3, 0, 3, 6, and 9. So that's working smarter, not harder. You guys are going to square these numbers and then divide by 3. Because remember, exponents happen before we have multiplication. So take a moment, fill out this table. We need to wrap up these 2 problems. So we graphed it with the table, but we need to find the domain and range. Underneath domain, put x. Or next to domain, put x. By the range, put y. The way I remember domain and range is it's alphabetical. Which comes first in the alphabet, x or y? X. Which comes first in the alphabet, D or R? D. So the alphabet lines up with the domain, with the x's, range with the y's. So is there any restriction on what we can put in for x? Is there any square roots that can have a negative inside of it, or is there any fractions with x on the bottom? Are those 2 situations here? No, do I have any fractions where x is on the bottom? No. So we're looking at this. Y equals 2x squared. Are there any fractions with x on the bottom? No, there's no fractions at all in this one. And are there any square roots in this one that can't be negative? No. Those are the only 2 scenarios where your domain would not be all real numbers. So your domain is all real numbers. Now your range is going to be what y values pop out of this graph. Are there any y values that are less than 0? Check out your graph. Any y values that are smaller than 0. So all your y's have to be greater than or equal to 0. So the range is all y's greater than or equal to 0. Okay, let's check that out for this graph here. We look at our equation. Are there any square roots that can't be negative underneath? Because by the way, you can't take the square root of a negative number, which is why we do that. Or is an x in the denominator, so that denominator can equal 0. X is in the denominator. So, once again, our domain for our second situation is x can be all real numbers. And then our range, what's the smallest that y can be? 0. It's all the way down here. That's our min, so it doesn't go below that. So once again, y has to be greater than or equal to 0. The bigger the x's get, the bigger the y is going to get. There's no restriction on the top of it. Okay. Thumbs up when you guys are ready to turn the page. All right, sticking to our learning objectives. Comparing with. That's once again looking at the leading coefficient and seeing how it changes graph. Use the graphs below. What is the order from the widest to the narrowest of the graphs of the quadratic functions? So this is negative 4x squared. It's a frowny face because he's negative. And would you guys consider this guy skinny or medium or fat? Skinny. This guy is 1/4 x squared. He is a smiley face because he's positive. Would we consider him fat or skinny?
Fat.
He's a little fatter guy. I like him. All right, and then this guy here is our parent function, f of x equals x squared. He's kind of in the middle. He's normal. All right, so we need to order them from widest to narrowest. So that would be f of x equals 1/4 x squared is first. Then who is the least, who's a little bit, who's not as fat as 1/4 x squared? Which guy? This one or this one? The next fattest.
Right.
The one on the right. The parent function. And then that leaves this little skinny negative guy to be the skinniest of them all. Okay, and then I'll tell you, the bigger the absolute value of the number in the front is, the bigger that absolute value of that front number is, the skinnier your guy's going to be. And in fact, it's like speeding up his metabolism. If you are squaring the number and then multiplying it by 8, that's going to be like, whoop, and it's going to jump to a higher number faster. So putting a bigger number out front is like speeding up its metabolism. Putting a fraction that is between 0 and 1 really slows down that little guy's metabolism, and he is just like, you know, he's that poor guy, has to eat salad all the time, but still doesn't have a fast enough metabolism. Just super wide. All right, so we're going to take a look at these guys. And we're going to order them from widest to narrowest. So Rob, who do you think is the fattest of all these three guys?
Y equals negative 1/3 x squared.
This guy. He gets to be first. Now, Diego, between this guy whose coefficient is -1 and this guy whose coefficient is 3, who's a smaller absolute value number? -1 or 3? -1. So this guy is the second fattest, or he can also be known as the second skinniest. That leaves this guy right here to be the super skinny guy. Give me a U-shaped parabola when you're done writing this down. U-shaped parabola. Okay, Brennan's done. Adam's done. V-shaped is absolute value. That's different. It has to be U. That's Chris is done. Kate's done. I think that's why Layla's got it. I saw it from Leslie. Okay, maybe. All right. Okay. All right, so we're going to graph it. What dropped off? Y equals ax squared plus c. What's missing in this standard form? Right here. By the way, think alphabet. Ax squared plus c. Who's missing out of the alphabet? B. So standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. This one doesn't have a b times x in the middle, which is awesome because it makes it super easy to graph. Okay, so we're going to graph the function y equals x squared plus 3 by making a table. So a little xy table. And let me help you out here. Let's go -5. 4. All right, Marissa, you get -5. Richard, you get -4. Brandon, you get -3. Rachel, you get -2. Juliet, you get -1. Here to Morgan, you get 0. Peyton, you get 1. Jade, you'll get 2. Evan, you'll get 3. And Chris, you'll finish this out with 4. Please keep it in order. So Marissa, you start us out. Top of the order. You don't have to graph it, you just have to put what it equals when you plug it into x.
So it's 28.
It's 28. Good job. So -5 times -5 is 25, plus 3 more is 28. All right, Richard, you got this. You got this. Gotta wait, gotta wait.
I think I've managed to.
Yeah. Brandon, I know you got this. Try to keep it tight underneath that 19.
Blue on my street.
Don't put your hand on it.
Got the blue on my street.
Right. Got this, Rachel. Got this. Okay, Julia, let's try to keep it. You can write your name. What's your name? Have to keep it in the box. Boom, good job. Morgan, get your 0 up. Is it 3?
We have 1,
Got this, Chris. Okay, let's grab these. Guys, can listen to the folks at home can listen to 5 voices. So we won't be able to graph the 19, but I definitely can graph these guys. So we go over to -3 up to 12. Over to -2 up to 7. Over to -1 up to 4. Over to 0 up 3. And then the pattern repeats. So we want to take a look at this number here. And where on our graph can we see 3? Where does 3 really stand out on this graph? Yeah, so if you look, our minimum is now 3 up from 0. So when you have a +3 stuck onto your parent function, it takes all of our coordinates and moves them up 3 points. So that means even our minimum is up 3 points from where it used to be. So what do we think a -5 is going to do to our graph? It'll take our minimum and move it down 5. So it moves the whole graph down 5 units. So it just takes all of it and pulls it down 5.
But it's not really number 5. It's
So every coordinate from our parent function is now existing 5 units slower than it was before.
it was 5 units lower. It's at -5 now.
If the parent function is always at 0.
Yeah.
And then it's 5 down from there will be negative. No, not from 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the whole graph moved down 5 units. Summary. Alrighty guys, summary. We definitely want to include how, so think of all these learning objectives with so the basic graph of a quadratic is what shape? And then explain how you use a table. So explain how to do this. Don't just say, I know how to do it. Okay, Cletus, let's upgrade our understanding level and tell me how do you use a table to graph a quadratic. And then tell me how the leading coefficient changes the graph. That means positive versus negative. And fat or skinny? Tell me those things in your summary. So what makes it a fat graph? What makes it a skinny graph? What shape is a quadratic? All right, so you guys are writing your summary now. Evan, do you want me to come back and get the table? Because you're gonna have to write your summary. I've already lost you. Every class allows me negative 1,000. So then if I put it in the after that it goes into negative 2 and then I start taking away. So you definitely don't want to get a then it'll start taking something away from I thought we redid it, right, Jack? We kept redoing it?
Never had it.
The only thing you're what is this? Don't. I can't remember.
How do you do that?
Those are like.
Alright, so if you guys are not working on your summary, you are not getting points for the 9-1 practice, Elijah. So how does a positive positive smile? Finish the summary.
That would be weird.
Only if I got one question.
My mom would do it. My dad did.
Not even bad though. But you didn't say anything about positive or negative. If the A in the front is positive,
You want it? Got it.
Standard form.
Yeah, you got those.
Donna, by the way.
You just called her Donna. Why would you do that?
I have to check to see where it's at. I filed it. I
It's possible.
Alright, together let's do your summary.
I'm an idiot. So, nothing.
What about like
Yeah, like,
I know, it looks so bad.
what's so rude.
Yo me siento like chocolate. Straight chocolate.
So we're going to definitely want to take selfies and just take pictures of your paper. And you're starting with as well. Okay.
There we go. We did it. Jesus.
Oh my God.
On the X. Those are red.
So it's actually not
Toilet paper.
Oh my God.
Is it a rectangle?
They didn't give me shades like that.
Shape. What's the shape? Wait, what's the shape of the floor? I never heard say that. Right, okay.
Do you know if you're the background? Is it doing this? Yeah, I'm gonna tell Jennifer and
Guys, what are you supposed to be working on after your summary? Right, the practice or the test correction.
Yeah, I need to have to work. You wouldn't know that.
Out of everything or
I feel like
I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna tell them.
No, wait, listen. I'm like, I'm like, I hate you.
Space like what? Yeah, it's real life.
No one's that no more about
Oh, dude, that's so funny. I don't want to fire.
That would have been crazy. No, it's me because it was
Catching was nice.
like it was so nice.
I just hated throwing. I
No,
hated throwing down.
No, throwing down was the best.
See, I don't get how I did
Yeah,
it.
she left the guy.
I got that wrong.
Listen here. Oh my god.
See, I got that right. Oh, I got him wrong. I got like everything. I don't get it. I don't get how to
No, they flew away before that.
I was like,
Catches it straight and he drops it.
No, but he went inside there to tell them that they wouldn't get fast. Flowers were gonna die. So he went inside. So he went in there and he was like, "Hey guys," the pilot was like, "Oh my gosh, we start pretty up. There's pretty easy." And so he like took the back and ripped off the guys to they are not good.
7 years.
And then he took it back everywhere and he knocked the co-pilot unconscious and then he whacked where the safety belt was and safety belt like included the knee.
I also watched What?
Oh, I have a uniform.
It was like on the news. Dude, I got
How far can you get?
Dude, I get something.
I so tight, like, I got a family device.
Dude, I'm just gonna sell them.
I bought 3.
Okay, so I'm gonna sell it.
What do you got on your head?
And then I'll buy 2. I'm gonna use. What do you think?
Oh, I was like,
I'm saving more crap.
What do I do? What do I go to change?
Yeah, thank you.
What is this?
How do you?
I got that right.
They've got so much speed, so because the blades were also spinning so fast, it acted as a helicopter. That's great, Greg. That was like great.
Scarlett has two. Gavin has
I mean,
How do I do
what's your problem?
to everyone, I mean, that's what I didn't mean to say that. It's just, of course, what isn't my problem? We better do it. I'll say that again. But I can't do it. Something new year about.
Wait, how do I do this thing again?
Please, something new.
Oh, yeah.
I bet he did.
By.
I know, I was about to say, is that
So,
there?
doing what?
Because you started with that, right?
So, if you found that out, how do you recommend you listen to it?
Anything just work creators are too
Oh, yeah.
How do you do graph the quadratic using integers? Make a chart for the numbers and then tell me how to write any coefficient. Rudy wants to take the task and I'm like, summaries. So address what positive and negative does to the shape of the graph and how to make a fat graph. All right, rest of you doing okay?
Okay, so
I would like 6.
I want to reach that way.
wow, that's true.
Yeah.
So kind of like this.
This is the longest one here. Not ever, but
honors.
It's still longer than
you're also short.
So sure, it looks
It's only like a fraction.
yeah, it's getting all. I want to throw. I did not see
See all that's what I think.
They're so bad.
Yes, it's bad. They're always not like. They're always straight.
So this is one. This is one. And this is two. I'm getting it like because I thought in a different way. It's just because I always want to
Right now, no.
I forgot completely about
I don't know.
Oh, it's an I don't know.
And she goes exactly like, why? She's ugly.
Right.
Ugly. Emily, you're my sister. You can't just say things like that. My mom just stepped up.
Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
Bit off.
wow. Wow. That's a good question. I don't know. Right. Maybe I'd tell you if I did. Did you read before Mariana?
read the yes or no question? Just tell her yes or no.
That song is
She's crazy. They do.
Oh, when she goes, she's going.
And she was like, hi, Josh.
With the two girls.
Like, it's so dumb.
And then she's pregnant. It was so cute.
What do you know? And he was like, I feel so uncomfortable. I feel like I just said that. I was like, you said that.
Oh yeah, it's talking about
And the family's not there.
I don't care.
I cursed my brother for hacking on
To their house.
I was so ticked off.
And make sure when you guys are done with your task correction, you put the computer back right away. That'll save traffic buildup.
That's how cool I am.
Sorry, but I did write it up here. I'm not sure why. If you thought maybe that it didn't apply.
That would be very difficult. I'd have to go to a place that, and that costs money. I'd have to take a patent, but I would have to.
Oh, right here.
No, but I would actually bring the patent. But I'd have to wait for all of these parts to grow.
Wait, it's like
There you
Friday?
go.
No.
I get.
This.
And I also have to like
Can I tell you Dustin's girlfriend?
How old are you?
I'd rather.
13.
No!
He's the funny
He's at 14.
You still
He's not calling you.
Where is the... Since the... No, I... Yeah. I did that. I was in like 6th grade and I was a small guy.
Well, he was
So he did not make up.
Graph for the co-first. Because they get
My brother's I don't know what that is. I want to smarter and
Do you even have a brother?
Why didn't you go
I have 14.
is all my parents?
That's not cute.
15,
He said that he dies.
12.
I was taken out of the water. Out of the
Well, that's not the same thing, but.
Shorty.
because she's I've heard it.
My brother grew up with constant.
Now my sister, yeah. Yeah. I could bully her so much.
Maybe like second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Next year, next year when you go to school,
Strange. Dude, so the other day, my brother goes home.
your hair is actually
So my brother
God, I love your hair.
But he's like, oh, I'm not going to bring and he's all vegetarian. My dad's all, you should put it in the vegetarian.
So amazing.
And I was all, really? I didn't know you could bring home for
I love you so much. God. It's not even a little girl.
And he's vegetarian.
I could let there's word problems.
What is that? That's a weird
And there's three different sick too. Like T-bones. I get excited just thinking.
You're not going to be excited over that.
It's like a month or three and six nights. Just up and down.
Great.
It's kind of like, but still excited.
I got
No, you're not.
Yeah,
Straight, it's like a steakhouse.
Then there's another place that's called
I literally
Remember there's
they come in this edition. Homemade. It's like 70 minutes. I love it.
my software house.
Yeah, and the other one.
An artist like its head.
Yeah.
Oh, the other one?
The big like outdoor outdoors.
Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's heading towards Bass Pro Dude, I love Bass Pro Have you been to Bass Pro Shop? No. Badass fish. He's like, you don't want to catch that. Yeah,
you have all these like meat. I mean,
that's Donna.
with like bears to bear.
Dude, they have bows, they use layers.
Like you can even hide the camera.
It's so sick. They got the light of mother. What? That's what Oh yeah, they got I just love it when I It's so fun.
Yes,
That's more than
He stopped.
Is that all we did?
I drew 80. I drew so cool. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Do you watch that? I thought you said
Whatever.
yeah. I don't recognize the story is said. I know, I just
You said it was said. But I said it was dude. Hey, no students, no students. So, yeah. So, the only chose like that. To go behind you, like, 30 seconds. Yes, the grant folders.
So, Cole, if you're done with the computer, definitely you want to do it right now.
Well, that's the answer.
super late.
Those are the bright ones.
I sent the thing to the wrong thing.
Are we the right side or what?
You're my right side.
This
That's
actually.
me.
I usually
I sent this to the wrong thing.
Where do you send it?
I sent it to the performance task.
I'm gonna go in and sweep everything anyway.
So do I send the performance task also?
Yeah, I'll look at it and I'll go, this is weird. Marissa has everything in the performance task, and then I'll look it over for you.
Sorry.
You guys, we've got 1.5 more minutes, like 90 seconds.
Oh, that's it? Hell yeah.
Before we start quadratic function.
Oh, what the hell?
I'm not done yet. Let me resubmit something.
Hold on, 1 more minute yet? 1 more minute. No. That's wrong. I thought it was at the yes. Do we just like yeah? Yes. Maybe. I don't know. What? Yes. No. I don't know. Yes, you do know. You have to. Pretty much something.
Some people didn't turn their test in to begin with. Those folks.
Right, because you guys put your family out there, so you had to let me know about your two boys and two girls. The airport is in there.
Two sisters.
Right next, we have 30 seconds.
Wait, what airport is it?
Los Angeles. See, I remember it meeting her, so that makes sense.
Hey guys, we have 5 seconds left. Marissa, that means we gotta get back in our seats and ready to take notes.
Tell me the deal, I'm sorry. You have to know.
All right, let's go ahead and put our books back under our desk. If you don't have a basket under your desk, don't put it on the floor.
I don't.
Put it either on the cabinet
You have to know.
or under a different desk. So we're clearing our books off of our desk. You guys, we are turning to page 9.
I like tracks. I like